Havens was incredible.
Jeff Havens joins us right now.
This is what you've heard, right? You've heard the matures, the boomers, Gen X, and Gen Y, or as I like to call them, really old people that don't think that they're old people, whiny people who can't decide if they're old or young people, and tiny little baby people. Hello and welcome to Us versus Them, the most educational and entertaining generational presentation in the world. Why? Because after poking fun at all the stereotypes we have about young workers, old workers, and everyone in between, I will show you how to recognize and resolve every generational issue you're currently facing. And this is also the funniest, most purely enjoyable generational seminar you will ever see. So get ready to laugh more and learn more than you thought was possible.
Had a lot of fun with it, real excitement, and then he brings back a really good message. And I think it really sets the tone for what we're trying to do in our organization, and it was really a great thing.
Are you an older or young person? You are about to find out. Question number one. Have you ever used a computer that required you to put a thing called a disk into a thing called a disk drive? Yes, or I don't recognize those words. Question number five. Do you have any idea at all what a party line used to be? Of course I do, or I can't figure out why some of the people around me are laughing. Do you occasionally walk from one room of your house to another, get where you were going, and then forget why you wanted to be there in the first place? Yes or no? Simple question, right? Other generational presentations focus on what people want, but Us versus Them will tell you why everyone wants the different things that they do. It's an important distinction that will make implementing new solutions easier than you ever thought possible. Then, we got the internet, and God, young people, you don't even know. For a decade, we used the internet like this. Don't pick up the phone, please. Because I just want to check my email. Because of this lack of constant connections, all you old people, me too, like I said, everybody my age and up basically, we developed our sense of self in a relatively confined world. We had our neighborhoods, we had our high schools, our elementary schools, a few hundred people, couple thousand, and in a world of that size, it's relatively easy to find a position for yourself, something that grounds you, something that makes you feel like you're important and noticed. You might not have always liked your position, none of us always liked where we felt like we stood, but at least we knew where we belonged. But for today's young people who have always had the internet, they've always had 500 channels of TV, their world has always, from birth, been global. It's always been 6-7 billion people large. And in a world this big, it is so much harder to feel like what you're doing is interesting or useful or relevant or even noticed by the community that you consider yourself to be a part of.
Perfect mix of humor and laughter and fun. With an underlying, rather serious message, and something that everyone really takes to. The staff, throughout the rest of the session, they would just constantly talk about Jeff's portion of it.
All of us have trouble feeling like what we're doing is interesting or important because we're always comparing it against this. It's always this barrage that's always up there all the time. But you older folks, me too, everybody who developed a sense of self before the internet really took off, we have a grounding in an earlier, smaller world. We have a foundation that we can draw some strength from. The youngest people in today's world don't. They know no other way. All they know is that they've been dropped into this impossibly large system where everybody is shouting all the time about everything. And what they want, even if they don't know how to ask for it, is for somebody to come along, pull them out of this ocean of noise, and make them feel like they're not drowning in it. I think the most important thing, the most important sentence for young people to understand if you want to have a happy career anywhere that you ever work is, advancement is a process, it is not a right. You do not get promotions, you do not get raises the way that we all get presents. You earn those things, and you earn them slowly. I think the problem that a lot of young people are having with advancement is this. Technology has accelerated the rate at which we do literally everything except for the rate at which we accumulate skills, knowledge, and ability. Access to knowledge is enormously easier, but if a skill took 500 hours in order to master back in 1800, it takes 500 hours in order to master it today. And I think a lot of young people have mistaken our ease of technological access for an accelerated path to advancement, and that is not how the world works. I know you older folks are sick of being told that the world is changing faster now than it used to, but it's the truth. But here's the really important thing to appreciate. For you older people, for me, for everybody who, like I said earlier, who developed a sense of self before the internet really started taking off, the world is changing faster now than it used to. For all the young people today, though, the world is changing at exactly the same speed that it always has. This is the only pace they've ever known. This is their normal. It's why they like it, because it's all that they are familiar with.
Hi, I'm Rick Nave. I've hosted this meeting of the Stadium Managers Association for, gosh, more than 30 years, and I've always been the funny one until today. And I will never have Jeff Havens come back because he was absolutely too funny and put all the pressure on me.
Young people, you need the older folks you work with to show you what they've done, to learn from their experience, because otherwise you are going to waste a whole lot of time trying to reinvent the wheel, and in most cases you're not going to reinvent it better than they've already invented it. And older folks, you need the younger members of your workforce, if for no other reason than because they are the absolute masters at working at the speed that the world works at today. You and I have adapted to the world that we have today, but they were born in it. They are unbelievable at being able to stick with what's working for only as long as it's working, and then happily switching to whatever new, seemingly easier thing comes next. They're masters at that because they've been doing it their entire lives. They have no other system in their head, and it is a skill that we can absolutely learn from all of them.
Jeff's very enthusiastic, engages an audience, and really hits home with a different style.
If you're truly honest with yourself, there's only two categories that you put people into. There's only two real generations in the workplace. There are young people and old people, and that's all there is. When you are thinking about generational issues at work, you are never thinking, well, I'm a baby boomer with traditionalist sensibilities trying to understand the subtle nuances of the Gen X and Gen Y mind. You've never said that. You either say that punk kid has no idea what he's talking about, or that old fart should just retire. But I got another idea. All right, young people, I want you to find yourself an old person. Old people, you just find yourself a baby person in here, and I want you to give them a hug, okay? Yeah. Keep your hands above the waist, though, okay? I'm not looking for any harassment issues. I want to thank you guys so much. I hope this has been useful to you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care.